hata asipoyafanya sisi tunaamini. Bwana asifiwe. Wangapi wanaamini pamoja nami asubuhi ya leo? Wangapi wanaamini? Haleluya. Unajua ukiacha Roho Mtakatifu aingie mahali oh my God, this is powerful. Turn your Bibles with me to Mark chapter 9. My name is Pst Phyll Gachau. I am a son of this ministry, proud to be here, serving the Lord together with my family. It is an honor and a privilege, and I don't take it for granted. Thank you for the opportunity, Reverend, and for the mentorship. Mark chapter 9 says this to us this morning, verse 14 to 29. And when they came to the disciples, they saw a great crowd around them, and scribes arguing with them. And immediately all the crowd, when they saw him, were greatly amazed and ran up to him and greeted him. And he asked them, "What are you arguing about with them?" Verse 17 goes on to say, and someone from the crowd answered him, "Teacher, I brought my son to you, for he has a spirit that makes him mute. And whenever it seizes him, it throws him down, and he foams and grinds his teeth and becomes rigid. So I asked your disciples to cast it out, and they were not able." Verse 19, Jesus answered them, "O faithless generation, for how long am I to be with you? How long am I to bear with you? Bring him to me." And they brought the boy to him, and when the spirit saw him, immediately it convulsed the boy, and he fell on the ground and rolled about, foaming at the mouth. And Jesus asked his father, "How long has this been happening to him?" And the father of the child said, "From childhood. And it has often cast him into fire and into water to destroy him. But if you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us." And Jesus said to him, "If you can, all things are possible for one who believes." 24 says, immediately the father of the child cried out and said, "I believe, help my unbelief." And when Jesus saw that a crowd came running together, he rebuked the unclean spirit, saying to it, "You mute and deaf spirit, I command you, come out of him and never enter him again." And after crying out and convulsing him terribly, it came out, and the boy was like a corpse, so that most of them said, "He is dead." But Jesus took him by the hand and lifted him up, and he rose. And when he had entered the house, his disciples asked him privately, "Why could we not cast it out?" And he said to them, "This kind cannot be driven out by anything but prayer." And some versions add, "and fasting." Blessed be the name of the Lord. I want us to reflect on the topic. The topic of the message today morning is, help my unbelief. Help my unbelief. In this excerpt from chapter 9 verse 1, we see this. Jesus had gone up the mountain together with 3 of his disciples, his beloved, that was John, Peter, and James. We are told that they had gone up the mountain, and while they were there, Jesus was transfigured. He shone bright like the sun. And the place was filled with the glory of God. And we are told while they were up there, Peter even wanted to remain up there because there are 2 other people that joined Jesus. That was Elijah and Moses. And while they were there, Peter even says to Jesus, "I want us to build a tent," because it was such a glorious place to be. Everything was beautiful. You can imagine how wonderful the place was. But while they were up there, something was happening down the mountain. The children, or rather the disciples of Jesus, they were battling with the scribes. From the excerpt from verse 14 where we've read, we see that the disciples were arguing, or rather the scribes were arguing with the disciples because of a matter. We see from verse 17, when Jesus now comes down and asks the people, "Why are you arguing with them?" It was not what he had taught them. Jesus, whenever was posed a question by the Pharisees, the Sadducees, or the scribes, he would mostly give a parable. he would counter it with another. They would ask a question and he would give a parable. Because they did not have ears to hear nor eyes to see, which is what Jesus said. So here he's wondering, why would the disciples, my children, be arguing, yet I have not taught them this? I have not taught them to engage in debates with the Sadducees and the scribes, because, to be honest, they are of more knowledge than they are. They are the teachers of the law. Bwana asifiwe. And so he finds them arguing, and the first question Jesus is asking his disciples is, what are you arguing about with them? The matter of argument was, there was a man who had brought his young boy to Jesus. And when he brought the young boy to Jesus, he did not find Jesus because Jesus was up the mountain. So he found his disciples and believed that if you walk with him, if you talk with him, if you commune with him, then therefore you might be able to do that which I have seen him do before. Blessed be the name of the Lord. There is an expectation from the world to us, those who sit in these pews. There is an expectation that the world has for you and for me. Wewe ambaye umeketi kwa hiyo kiti. There is an expectation, a great expectation to the heathens and the unbelievers, that when they see us, because we claim to be of God, because we walk and speak, and even some of us quote scriptures. Matthew chapter 10 verse 4 says this and this. Because we are so knowledgeable and we have a close proximity, because jirani yako saizi akipiga hodi kwako hata kupata anajua. They are sure that at this hour, in this time, even though my house was on fire, I'd rather go somewhere else because my good neighbor is not in the house. The expectation is, because you are here, because you speak of the things of God, because mkipeana ushuhuda, you say you are born again, there is an expectation, a great expectation, that if Jesus rose from the dead, if Jesus, this one whom you claim, heals diseases, if this Jesus does such and such, then therefore you too can walk in the same manner. Blessed be the name of the Lord. The expectation, brethren, is high. I reckon to you today morning that they believe, and the expectation is that proximity to Jesus or to the things of Jesus, there is a great expectation from them, the unbelievers, that you too can walk in the same power, in the same might, because you are nearer to him. And so that was the same. The man, the father of the boy, did not find Jesus, but he found those who were near him. He found those who used to walk with him. He found those who were near him and around him when he was performing various miracles. He found those who, when he was teaching parables, or when he was teaching the Sermon on the Mount, were around him. In fact, he even found those who would stay with him even in the night. Mahali Yesu angeingilia, wangekaa na yeye hapo. These people spent 24 hours with Jesus. And so the man said, if I don't find Jesus, it is good for me because I have found somebody who believes in him. It is good for me because I have found those who are near him. And so he gives them their boy and his boy and says, this young boy has been convulsing. He has a spirit within him. We are told that he cast him into the fire and cast him into the water. The young boy had been going through such a hard time. And it is since his childhood that the boy was suffering. He was under oppression. And so when the people, the father brought them to the disciples, and they were unable to cast the demon out, and they were unable to fulfill or to do that which the man, the father of the boy, had great expectation of. Because of their inability, the scribes rose up. You know, whenever Jesus was, even the Pharisees were there. Even the scribes were there, the teachers of the law. They would surround him. They would walk pembeni. They just observe. They witness that indeed it is true. He's performing miracles. Indeed it is true. He's forgiving sins. But they would stay afar off, not to be wasihitanishwe English. So that they are not associated. Thank you so much. They would stay far. It is a Sabbath. This man goes on to heal the blind. It is a Sabbath. This man goes on to perform miracles. It is a Sabbath. His disciples are going to the field to remove maize. It is a Sabbath. They would stay afar, not so near so that they can be associated, but they would follow him and they would witness. And so for this time, walipata mwanya. This time round, they found something because their disciples, here they are, they have been unable to perform a miracle. The boy is still under oppression. The boy is still convulsing. The demon is still very much solid in this young man. And so there is an argument. The scribes probably mocking them and saying, you see, these things you've been doing are fun and games. These things you've been doing are lies. Probably you get some other people and then you come and bring them to us here for theatrics and drama. We do not believe that Jesus has really been doing these things. Why? Because the law does not seem to show us how this is possible. And especially on a Sabbath. So indeed you people are following someone that is not. There was an argument because the disciples, all they have is belief. All they have is trust in Jesus that indeed this man has done some great things in our midst. This man has healed. He has risen from the dead. He has done some great things. Even Mary Magdalene, that is said to have had 7 demons, he was able to remove from her. Yet when the disciples were brought for the young boy, they were unable to do that which was recommended of them. So here they are. They are arguing. It is an argument. You guys, what's happening? And Jesus comes in and he hears the story and what is going on. And verse 19, he answers them and says, "Oh, faithless generation. Oh, faithless generation," Jesus calls them. "Oh, you unbelieving," HCSB says, "generation without faith, without belief. You do not believe these things that we've been doing. You do not believe in the power." This faithless generation Jesus was speaking to in this context were 3 people. I want us to go through the 3 people who are being referred to in this particular context. One, he was talking to the scribes. Who are scribes? The scribes they are skilled writers, legal experts. They were learned men whose business was to study the law, transcribe it, and comment and make commentaries about it. That's all they did. They stayed in the temple. They read the scriptures. They read the law. They transcribed it. They understood it. They even taught others. I want you to remember the time of Ezra. He was a skilled scribe, and he was removed by a heathen king to come and teach the people of the land once they had already gone. He was removed and to come and teach the people of the land on how to go about the land. So scribes had been there since time immemorial, people who would teach and understand the law. This was based off of the instruction that God had given Moses, that teach the law to your children and their children and their children after that, so that they can walk in line with what the law of God says. So there were people called the scribes who would stay in the temple, whose work was to study the law, to understand the law, and even go ahead and teach various people who would come to the temple. Walikuwa walimu, wanafunza. They would teach the people the law. So you see here, the scribes are very familiar to the word of God, even more than the disciples. Because the camp of disciples were people like fishermen. I know, me and you, I think we are aware that fishermen don't learn their skills from books. They don't sit down with books and so put the hook, weka kanyama kwa hook. They don't learn on the book. They go into the sea and they are taught how to do it. So hata mambo ya masomo, things to do with literacy might have been very far from them. Yet when the scribes saw them moving in so much power, yet they knew nothing, they were staying close to find a loophole. They were staying close to find a place penye watawapatia. And wakapata, because the young boy did not receive his breakthrough or his healing. And so in this place, we see the scribes were arguing because the disciples were unable to cast out the demon. Yet, they themselves, the people of the law, they themselves who know the law back to forth,
They themselves who are teachers, transcribers, commentators, they were the ones who knew the law, did not or were unable to walk in the very same power that Jesus had. The faithless generation that knows the scriptures, the faithless generation that understand what it says, have read the prophets, have read the time of Moses, even know what made the children of Israel go round and round for 40 additional years when it was not the will of God. They know it was because they had of unbelief. They know all these things, yet are moving powerlessly. It is not the will of God for believers to know so much about the word, yet when it comes on matter to application, we move without the power. Praise the name of the Lord. We need that extra, that power that the Lord says he will give us through his spirit. So the scribes, though they were making fun, though they were arguing with the disciples who were not able to cast out the demon, they themselves, a faithless generation, were not able to do the same. Because if they wished so well about the young boy, they would have told the disciples, stay aside. It is our chance now to mepata nafasi. But then, even before Jesus came and started doing his ministry, the young boy was still afflicted. And what had happened? The scribes had done nothing about it. A faithless generation. A faithless generation that is arguing back and forth with those who have chosen to stand in the same place of faith, that is arguing when they see no results, that they themselves are doing nothing about the lack thereof of results. That's the faithless generation that Jesus is addressing in this place, that they know the law but cannot practice the law, yet they are arguing with those who don't know the law. Here they are at a better chance to exercise what they know, but they do not do that. It's a faithless generation that Jesus is talking to. The next generation that he's talking to, or the next people of audience, is the desperate father. The desperate father of the young boy that had seen Jesus move in power. The man had seen Jesus to the point he knew where to take Jesus. We are a people that know where our blessing will come from. We know when we come to church, God is able to do exceedingly and abundantly above all we could ask, think, and imagine. In fact, we have seen him bless others. It is in these very same pews that we know our friend whose marriage was breaking has been brought together. It is in these very same pews, like the father, the desperate father, had seen Jesus. It is in the same pews we have seen people who do not have jobs. God has opened doors for them. It is in these very same pews that we have seen people who are sick and they've received significant and divine healing from God. It is in the same pews. A faithless generation that sees miracles. A faithless generation that experiences the power of God. A faithless generation that walks among miracles, that walks among healing, open doors, open heaven. But when it comes to the point of actualizing our faith, mahali ambapo Mungu anataka tusimame imara, mahali ambapo Mungu anataka kututumia sisi, when it comes to that place, the desperate father, he knew where to take the young boy. The desperate father, he knew he would find Jesus. The desperate father knew if Jesus could not do it, then his disciples can, because there's an association by the power and the move of God. He knew that if Jesus were not able, you guys come and do something. He gave his, you need to understand that the desperate father hakushikilia mtoto wake akasema mimi nataka Jesus. That's where his faith was. He knew he had faith. But he had faith. Because if he was unbelieving, he would have said, I'm waiting for Jesus. But he gave his boy. Because he knew that it is possible. But did not fully believe. Why? Because we see later on when Jesus comes and he had seen the inability or how the disciples were not able to do it. He made his case special. He says, if you can. He has seen Jesus walk in power. He has seen Jesus raising the dead. But when Jesus comes, he says, you know what? If you can. Yet he has seen him do it before. He's making his case special like some of us do. We make our unemployment special. We make our lack of business growth special. As if God has not lifted other business. We make our diseases special. God, I know you have healed other people. They even have cancer. Lakini magoti ambayo imekuwa ikiniuma, if you can, if you think, God, if you can stand your face towards me, the if is the issue. Because the desperate father, he is desperate, but not completely. He is not absolutely desperate to believe fully that if you can heal others. That is what we do. Unfortunately, that we bring our issues to God. We see other people receiving their breakthrough. We even hear them share our testimonies. And you're saying, wow, Lord, if you can, if you will, please look at also my situation. Look at my son who is still prodigal. I've seen you do for others. I've seen other people's prodigals return. But we are not believing that our case, we have made our issue special, that it is too difficult for God. The desperate father believed. Wow, look at all these people. Wow, look at the way they've been healed. Wow, look at the Canaanite woman. She does not even belong, yet she has received her miracle. Wow, look at the great mighty works that Jesus is doing. He has even multiplied wine in a wedding. Wow, but when it comes to our matter, when it comes to apply our faith, when it comes for us to stand, when it comes for us to take a step of faith and believe God to also function in our lives, we fail to fully believe. Oh, faithless generation, Jesus calls them. Oh, faithless generation, that my case is too special to be delivered. My son is too special to be set free. Oh, faithless generation, Jesus calls them. Another group that he was talking to was the unsuccessful disciples. They had risen up. They rose up and they were given the boy, and they did not say, wacha tungojee Yesu. You know, wacha tungojee Yesu. Listen, we are not talking about people who do not believe in Jesus at all. We are not talking about people who said, no, we don't believe that Jesus can do. These are people who believe, but do they? They're still holding on to that mustard seed. They're still holding on to that small level. They're still holding on to that small portion. That it is just enough for others, but it cannot get to me. The power of Jesus is enough for the people, the healing of the masses, but just not enough for me. God is calling us out of that place. That place is calling us up. These are the unsuccessful disciples who have seen miracles. Imagine that. Who for some of them, they saw the dead. Lazarus, before their eyes, they saw him, amefunikwa, kama mtu amekufa kabisa, na anasema, Lazarus, come out, and he jumps because he's tied. Lazarus has been tied with the clothes of the dead, and he's jumping out, and they've seen Lazarus. Oh my God, the friend of Jesus has been risen from the dead. They've seen people who had no sight, and Jesus spits to the ground and makes mud and puts it on their eyes. And they've seen how these people who don't even know Jesus that much have regained their sight. They've walked with Jesus. They've seen miracles. They've seen a Canaanite woman say, they've seen the Jairus saying, my daughter is very far off, but I believe. You say a word, it will get to her. That there are no limits to you. Just say a word, Jesus. They've seen him. Some of them would even push people aside and say, no, protocol. Walikuwa kwa protocol, making sure nobody's touching Jesus. Stay aside. They would stay aside. Don't come close. They saw, they experienced the power. But when it was time to actualize what the master has been teaching them, when it was time to walk, not by association, not by experience, by knowledge of the things that God can do and Jesus can do and his power can do, when it was time to exercise, this is where we are. This is where most of us are. When it's time to exercise, when they brought those children, your neighbor has brought the child, and the child is sick. Na amejaribu kila kitu. Wamempeleka kwa madaktari. Wamejaribu everything that they can. They've tried everything that they could, and they've brought the child to you, and you hear the Spirit of God telling you, lay hands on that head, lay hands and speak healing. And you are looking at the child, and you're looking at the mother, you're looking at the child, and you're looking at the mother, and wondering, if I do it and it does not, maybe it's not my time to exercise my faith. And you just say, may the Lord remember him. We will continue to pray. And the opportunity that had risen up for you to exercise your faith has failed us, because we are like the unsuccessful disciples who saw, who experienced, who saw, and experience. But when it came time for them to do the laying of the hands, when it came time for them to say, rise up and walk, when it came time to say, enough of this of these sins, enough of these cycles, when it came time to represent, for the power of God to flow through us, we became unsuccessful like the disciples. They saw, but they did not understand. These are the people, a faithless generation that cannot walk in the full power of God because they do not believe in the full power of God. It's the faithless generation that cannot receive from God because we cannot receive without faith. We cannot receive without faith. I want us to see Jeremiah chapter 5. He also talked about a similar case of a faithless generation. He says this about them. Jeremiah chapter 5, verse 21 to 22. He says this, hear this, O foolish and senseless people, who have eyes but see not, who have ears but hear not. Do you not fear me? He asks. Do you not tremble before me? Do you not tremble before me, the one who has set the sand and the boundary of the sea, an enduring barrier that it cannot cross? The waves surge, but they cannot prevail. They roar, but cannot pass over it. This is what Jeremiah is talking about. He's talking to them. You have seen. You have heard. You have seen the way we've gone to war. Various people have come and tried to conquer us. Yet God has not allowed it. He has miraculous. It's not because we have the greatest army. It is because our God has been there with us. And he says to them, oh, foolish and senseless people who have eyes to see God's power, eyes to see miracles, eyes to see the healing, eyes to see the manifestations. Yet they do not see. They have eyes, but they do not see. They have ears, but they do not hear. A generation that had seen many signs. They had won many battles. That's the generation that Jeremiah is talking about. By the hand of God, they had witnessed his great power and heard of his great works. Yet they did not acknowledge what they saw. They walked faithlessly because they believed that even those things that were happening, most of us are at a place of unbelief because we believe the things that are happening, the fact that we have air in our lungs, it is because that is what is supposed to happen. This is an ordinary occurrence. And we are asking and asking. We want to see great things. And God will do great things. I believe that God is going to do great things in this church, in this sanctuary. We will see them with our eyes. We will behold them. But when God has put breath in our lungs, ni mpaka uingie pale ICU uone mtu hawezi kujipumulia, ndio ujue hii ni miujiza. Kutembea namna hii ni muujiza. These are the people that Jeremiah is talking about. You are a walking miracle. You are healed. Yes, ulikula madawa, lakini kuna wengi walikunywa madawa pia walizopewa na daktari, lakini hawakupona. Yes, kuna wenye waliingia hospitalini as just a normal checkup and they did not make it. There are children that go to hospital with diarrhea cases and vomiting, but they do not come out. Yet ours, they diarrhea and they're okay. Isn't that the power of God shielding us? Isn't that the hand of God? That's the miraculous hand saying to the devil, this one you shall not have. This one is mine. This one you will not get to them. But when it comes to a point of actualizing, we are asking for the unseen. Yet the sin we have not acknowledged of God. Yet what we are walking in, our legs that are able to walk, we are able to jump. We are able to breathe. Help my unbelief, Jehovah. Help my unbelief, Jehovah. Help my unbelief, because I am walking miracles. I'm walking miracles. I am a walking miracle. I am a living miracle. Yet I do not believe that God is able to do great and mighty things. Oh, help my unbelief. Help my unbelief. We are walking miracles. We are walking miracles. We are walking miracles. Wachana na dada yako ndugu yake aliyoponya. Wewe, you are a walking miracle. Wewe ni muujiza. Wewe ni muujiza. Kutembea tu kuamka siku ya leo. Wewe ni muujiza. Help my unbelief. A generation that forgets the things of God. Pale Mungu alipotutoa. Anasahau. A generation that is in unbelief forgets what God has done, does not keep an account. Haina akili, na hata ikinakili wanapoenda kuomba wanasema ni ukweli ulikuwa umetuponya, lakini ni hiyo lakini Bwana anataka kudili nayo siku ya leo. Ni hiyo lakini ni ukweli hata tuliingia maternity na I was able to deliver the child, lakini sasa Mungu, he rent going to God as if what he has done in the past was mere, it was nothing. It did not have weight. Yet many people enter that maternity, and both them and who they came carrying are no more. They don't walk out. They walk out in boxes. A generation that forgets. A generation that forgets is the faithless generation. That God is calling us out and He's saying, be like these fathers, the father of the boy that says, I believe, help my unbelief. Ninaamini lakini kuna kenye imebaki, kuna mabaki ambayo sijaweza kukamilisha. Hiyo mabaki Bwana anasema tusibaki nayo. That small unbelief. God is saying to us this morning, let's go to Mark chapter 6 and see another account that happened to Jesus. Oh, Mark chapter 6 verse 1. From verse 1 to 6, I'm going to read quickly. He went away from there and came to his hometown, and the disciples followed him. And on the Sabbath, he began to teach in the synagogue, and many who heard him were astonished. Bwana apewe sifa. They were astonished. They heard what he was saying. They were astonished. Where did this man get these great things? What is the wisdom given to him? How are such mighty works done by his hands? So Jesus comes to perform some great mighty works in Nazareth. And the question that is running through their mind is, how is he able to do this? By whose power and authority is he functioning in? Verse 3 goes on to say, is this not the carpenter, the son of Mary? They don't even say the carpenter's son. This is how we know Jesus, before he started his ministry, until 30 years old, he was a carpenter. Bwana asifiwe. Is this not the carpenter? Is this not Phyllis, the one we saw growing up? Isn't this not the normal people we've been serving with? Isn't this not the small boy that I took to Sunday school? Is this not my brother? Alikuwa mbaya sana tukiwa tuna grow up. Is this not the ordinary people who we have been seeing? They had a familiar spirit because they had seen him. They were with him. Let's go ahead and see. They even know his family tree. Wanajua wao, wanajua kwa wote wanasema, is this not the son of Mary and the brother of James, Joseph, and Judas and Simon? And are not his sisters here with us? Are not the people who he grew up with in this house? Are they not around? Si pale ndio kwao. Ukipita hivi utoke left, hiyo nyumba ya gate ya blue, is that not where they live? This Jesus that is speaking in this great mighty way, this Jesus that is quoting scriptures, we did not see him go and study like the scribes. We did not see him. In fact, he has not even come of age, because the scribes, or the people who are Levites, they would enter into the temple at 30 years, around 25 to 30. Then they would start practicing at 30 and start offering the sacrifices and performing the duties of priests from 30. So they are wondering, we've not seen him go to the school from when he was 25 years. We've not seen him go and enter and learn and study. Yet he speaks as though he has studied the scriptures. What is this power with him? And they took offense with him. They did what? They took offense. It was not to them like, oh my God, this ordinary person who is just like me is walking in power. This ordinary boy, we saw him grow up. They took offense. They did not catch a revelation of that God's power haibagui, haiangali ni mwanamke ama ni mwanaume. God's power haina limitations. God's power can move in our area. Something good can come out of here. Something good can come out of Lakisama. Something good can come out of Roiro. Something good can come out from our small Kijiji. They did not understand. They took offense at him, because how dare this carpenter, how dare he wake up and start speaking of such great and mighty things? How dare this carpenter not be ordinary and powerless like us? How dare this person rise up as a great businessman? Why? How dare he? They took offense at Jesus, the King of Kings, because the only thing that was different between them and what they had seen between Jesus and them was the power. He was indeed the Son of God. Their power, instead of desiring the power, they took offense. Unbelief manifests as offense. How you want to say, Pastor, I'm a person that believes so much. Offense. Inajifichia. Unbelief inajifichia. Who does she think she is? Who does he think he is to open a business here? Watu wengi wamefungua biashara hapa. Watu wengi wamefungua duka. Who does he think he is? Ona venye amechukua duka kubwa. Mbona anachukua hii hataweza kulipa? We have tried. Si atuulize sisi. Sisi tunajua. Offense. You're offended by the faith of others. You're offended by the move of others. That's how unbelief manifests. That inajifichia haitakuja I don't believe. It manifests as offense, like the people of Nazareth. They grew up with Jesus. Walimuona kipiga randa. Walimuona kimbia na baba yako. Jesus, leta hiyo mbao. Anakimbia na mbao juu. They saw him. Anaekelea mbao, anafunzwa kupiga randa. Anafungwa kuweka paint. Inaitwa varnish. Or whatever it's called. Anafunzwa how to treat mbao isikuliwe na mchwa. Anajua hiyo yote. They saw. They would pass by and say, hi Joseph, you're with your young boy. Yes, teach them while they are young. They saw him. They were familiar with them. They knew them. How many hours today even naming his sisters? We would have never known if Jesus even had sisters. We would not know if Mary conceived both sister ladies, women, and also other brothers of Jesus. We would have never known, but the people of Nazareth made it known to us. They even give us the family tree. It's a carpenter. Offense, unbelief. They won't say that, no, we don't believe that God can do it. They just say, huyu. Ni huyu mwenye anafikiria Mungu atamtumia. Ni yeye, ndio hatuamini. Ni yeye. It's not God. It is the person. It's the person that is acting in the place of the power of God. Offense is unbelief, brethren. Offense is unbelief. And what do these people do? And Jesus said to them, verse 4, now Jesus turns to them and addresses them. Yes, the Jesus who was a carpenter. Yes, the Jesus that they had they had seen him grow up. Yes, the Jesus who was walking around the area. Yes, the Jesus who had gotten lost at 12 years old. And Mary went around the kijiji telling the women, where is my son? Let us go back to Jerusalem and find him. This is the Jesus that now turns to them and says, a prophet is not without honor except in his hometown and among his relatives and his own household. Kwa sababu ni wale ambao walimuona, walikuwa pamoja na yeye. It is those that were with him that had grown what? Familiar. Familiarity is another thing that manifests unbelief. Unbelief manifests as familiarity. Mazoea. Tumesema it manifests as offense. Now we are dealing with familiarity. We have seen him. We know him. Tunajua kwao. That is how we don't believe. You know, we have to say these things because Jesus is not with us. God is going to use men. Ordinary men whom we saw growing up. Ordinary men that are with us here. Familiar. We have grown familiar. And we think that God must use people who we don't know. Wako Accra, Ghana. Ama Accra, haiko Ghana, who even knows. Iko, thank you, Jesus. Iyo sikuwa najua. Ako Abuja, Nigeria. Ako Pretoria, South Africa. Those are the people we believe. But those who are amongst us, the prophets amongst us, the people of God amongst us, we do not believe. We have seen him. We have seen them. We are familiar. Yet we do not know. It is not necessarily a familiarity. It is our unbelief. We do not believe in the power of God. We do not believe in the full power of God. But we are tunaijifichia. Ni huyu wetu. Unbelief manifests as familiarity. Familiarity stood in the way of these people and understanding what Jesus has been called. Verse 5, let's move on. It says, and he could not do a mighty work there. Is it that Jesus was not willing to do the power and to heal? Is it that Jesus was not able to do great mighty works in Nazareth? He had done them in Jerusalem. He had done them in Jericho. He had done them even on the roadside. Anapopita, anapata mtu huyu haoni, haraka anadilna kutoona kwake, and he moves on. Is it that Jesus did not want to do mighty works in Nazareth? No, but it was the offense that they had in their hearts. It was the unbelief that they had in their hearts. So many times we are still praying, we are still waiting so that God can do mighty works. but we do not know that God is saying, siwache mazoea, siwache kukasirika, ni hiyo ndio inafanya nisiweze kufanya jambo ambalo nimewapangia. And he could do no mighty work there because of their unbelief. He could do no mighty work there. Unbelief ilikuwa imejifichia kwao. He could not be able to heal the sick. He could not be able to raise some few dead people. He could not be able to do it. Why? Was it because he had no power? Was it because that he could not be able to do it? God had told him not to do it. He was willing. He was able. But walijifungia miujiza. He could not do. Why? Because one of the ingredients that is needed for a miracle, one of the ingredients, the very key ingredients that is needed for a move of God to happen in your life, some of the things that are needed, key and cannot miss, is faith, is to believe. And if we do not believe, God wants to first deal with that unbelief. And we will see Jesus deal with it with the young man, with the father of the young man. Instead of welcoming the gift of God at their disposal. In fact, I believe if they believed that something great could come out of Nazareth, he would have done great and mighty things. Because even Jesus himself knew the things that were ailing his town. But because they believed not, because of familiarity, because of offenses, he did not do the great things that he could. We are told, except that he laid hands on the few sick people and healed them. A few people had faith. A few people were not familiar. There is always a remnant. I know you could think all of us do not believe, all of you, Kwenyu, we don't believe something good can come out of this family. Maybe we think all of us, we cannot get out of this place of poverty. All of us, we are not called to be pastors. Maybe just church members in our home. We are just not there. Maybe not. A few people. There is always a few people. And it is these few people that will stir up even greater offense in your heart. Because how dare they believe? How dare they want to walk in a great power and manifestation? He did no mighty work, which means his plan was to do great and mighty things. His plan was to come and do a great work in Nazareth. But he did not do it, except that he laid hands on a few sick people. People in Jericho are being healed. Samaria and Galilee, because they welcomed the gift of God by faith. But the people in Nazareth, who had seen him grow, chose offense, chose familiarity. And the Bible tells us he could do no great work. Oh, we have grown familiar with the gifts of God. May God have mercy on us. May God have mercy on us. We have grown familiar with God sending us his servants. God has sent his word. God is willing. He has, God builds men through men. He makes men through men. But we have grown familiar. Just the way they took offense at the Son of God, we have taken offense at the servants of God. So when we go back to Mark chapter 9, where we were from verse 19, the faithless generation, he asks, how am I to bear with you? And then he turns to the boy, or he turns to them and says, bring him to me, the young boy. And they brought the boy to him. And the minute the spirit that was in the boy saw Jesus, it immediately convulsed the boy. It immediately started to fight for itself. It immediately started to push back, because it was afraid. It knew its time had come to an end. It starts to throw him to the ground. These are the dying, the kicks, the last kicks of a dying horse. It's trying to destroy this boy because it knows its time, its hour has come. Even the demons know, but the people do not believe. Even the demons understand our hour has come, but here they are. It convulses the boy. He falls on the ground. He rolls, foaming at the mouth, we are told. Verse 21. And Jesus turns to the father after seeing what is happening to the boy and asks him, for how long has he been doing this? From childhood. From when he was young. Now he's able. He's a bigger, much older boy. But from when he was a child, this child has been possessed, has been oppressed. And it has often cast him into the fire, into the water, to destroy him. Even the father of the boy knew the motion, the motive of the spirit was to destroy him. Hakuna kitu ingine roho wa adui ama adui anafanyanga. The evil spirits did not come to do great works. They did not come to help. They might even prophesy because they see in the spiritual realm, but they only come to destroy. And this is where we knew that there was a problem, because the father of the young boy says, but if you can do anything, if you can do something, I don't know, I know you've sinned, you've done a lot of things. If you can do something, Jesus, I don't know if this case is also itakushinda pia wewe, kama vile imeshinda your disciples. Sijui kama utawezana na hii hali ni ngumu sana. It is a special case. If you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us. The father of the boy desperately tells Jesus, have mercy on us. If you can, I'm not sure how it is in your list of many things that you can do. Can you slot this young boy of mine here? If you can, do you have enough power? Or these things zimekushinda? If you can, Jesus, if you can. And this is how we go to him in prayer. If you can be able to take away this poverty, I'm not sure. I've seen my parents try to start businesses, but they have failed. I've seen them. Most of us didn't even study, but Lord, if you can help me be able to get these children into even universities, if, my God, if we don't fully believe, fully immerse ourselves, because we have nothing to lose. If, God, you can take us out of this situation, I'm not sure, but if you can, have mercy. We plead with him, but not in faith. We plead with our situations, but we don't really believe that he can do it. And the father of the young boy, we are told, and Jesus addresses it. The young boy is busy convulsing. And I know the people around are like, wachana na baba yake, huyu kijana ni kugongwa, ni kurushwa. He leaves the boy convulsing and turns to the father, because he must address some issues. We must address the issue. The issue here is because we do not believe. You do not believe that I'm able to do it. So I will leave the convulsing boy, because this is an issue of just declaration. And he gets up. Let me talk to you and address and tell you that the foundations, or rather the ingredients that are needed in this place of your prayer, what you need to add in your prayer is to believe. And he tells him, verse 23, if I can, you are asking me if I can. You are asking the King of Kings, the one who is able, if I can. What is if? What is hard for me? What is if? What is hard for me? All things are possible for one who believes. All things are able, are present, are reachable, are accessible for those who believe. Jesus addresses the heart of the matter. It's not that Jesus could not do the works. It was what was standing between him and doing it. And he knew it was unbelief. All things are possible, brethren. I don't know what situation has been too hard for you, but during this Easter season, as we reflect on an empty tomb, as we reflect on a grave that has nobody inside, I want to bring to you that when Jesus was put in the tomb, they made sure that he was dead. They did not give his body to the disciples. They had to make sure, the people, the soldiers had to make sure that he was dead. They are the ones who took him down, gave him to Joseph of Arimathea, told him, put him in your tomb. We will not let them put them in his own tomb. Put him in your tomb. Take him. Go and bury him. They confirmed that Jesus was dead. 3 days, they even put soldiers at the opening, because they had heard of the way this man was speaking, and they had realized that if he happens to rise from the dead, we are going to do everything possible to make sure that they don't take that body. They even put soldiers at the opening of the tomb. 2 soldiers ready to see if his disciples would come and steal the body and make lies. They put one of their own because of unbelief. These people put the soldiers at the opening of the tomb. But on that day, when Mary and her friends were going to continue to clean the body of Jesus, they met that there was nobody at the opening. The big stone that they needed to be rolled away by the soldiers, was not there. It was open. And when they entered into the tomb, it was empty. It was empty. And they look. Kesi inaanza. Soldiers, where is the body? Where is Jesus? Where is the body? And Jesus appears to them, first to his disciples. And Thomas says, I want to touch his hands. And he touches his hands. And you know, the book of God, the Bible, in the book of Acts, chapter 1 tells us that Jesus stayed with them, teaching them for 40 days. Please. It is not that Jesus rose up from the dead and then went up and ascended. He stayed after his resurrection. 40 good days. They saw him once more. after they had buried him, the Jewish people, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, they saw him. They stood at afar, listening to him speak some more, still with nails on his hands, still with nail holes on his feet. They saw him. They had him for 40 good days. And when he was ascended, they still did not believe, even after a great work had been done. Brethren, miracles don't happen to us because we do not believe. If the Jewish people had to stay with a risen up Christ for 40 days and they did not believe, how many things were not done in their lives? All things are possible, brethren. All things are possible. I don't know what situation that is. I don't know what kind of thing you're going through in your family. But the Bible, God, Jesus himself, by his words, he says, all things are possible for one who believes. I am still in the business. I'm still in the business of performing miracles. What do you mean if I can heal? What do you mean if I can give you a job? What do you mean if I can restore your business? What do you mean if I can perform wondrous signs in your church? What do you mean if I can fill this sanctuary? What do you mean you're waiting to see so that you can believe? What do you mean if I can restore your marriage? What do you mean if I can bring back your prodigal son? What do you mean? What do you mean if I can? All things are able, are present, all things. What is this that is too hard for God? If he rose up from the grave, if the tomb is empty, what is it? He has defeated the grave. He has defeated death, which is the most powerful. What is this thing that we cannot be able to believe? What is it that he cannot be able to do? He can do all things. He can do mighty things. He is not limited by place or time. God is able. I tell you today, God is able. I don't know what you have held on to your mind and thought, I will continue to stay with this illness as I continue to trust that nitakufa tu siku moja na nitamuona Yesu. Believe that you will not die with that sickness. Believe. Because what do you mean if I can? All things are possible. All things are possible. God can do it. God can do it for you, my sister. God can do it for you, my brother. God is able. He's able. Believe. You've been lacking an ingredient. There is something you've been lacking. Tumekuwa tukiambiwa kanisa itajaa. Tumekuwa tukiomba. Tunajiuliza kwa nini tukuje kwa hizi maombi? Ni maombi yetu italeta watu? Hapana. Maombi inatutayarisha sisi tuache kutokuamini. Maombi tumeitwa ndio tuache kutoamini. Maombi kila Friday tunaitwa ndio tuache kutokuamini. Sio maombi yetu itajaza mahali hapa. Tunaitwa atufanyie kazi aondoe hiyo kutokuamini, tuanze kuamini naye muujiza ifanyike. Rise up on your feet and tell him, help my unbelief. Like the boy of the father cried out and said, I believe. Help my unbelief, Jehovah. I believe, but help my unbelief. Because the Bible says the minute the father said so, that Jesus took the boy and told him to stand up, and he was set free. The boy was set free. He said, you mute and dumb spirit, leave him and never come back again. Oh my God, by a word, you're able to set me free. By a word, you're able to change my family. By a word, I just need a word from you. I believe. Help my unbelief. Kuna mahali nimebakisha. Bwana. Help my unbelief. Oh, help my unbelief. You've been dealing with our unbelief. You've been dealing with our unbelief at the place of prayer, helping us to come of age. It is not prayers that make things happen. It is faith. Ni kuamini. Sisi tu tunaamini. Na wakati ambapo hatuamini, tunasimama kwa mahali pa maombi. Tunamwambia Bwana, help my unbelief. Oh my God, help my unbelief. Kuna jambo Bwana amekuambia siku mingi. Kuna mtu ameambiwa anzishe biashara, lakini kwa sababu biashara ile ingine ilianguka, Amini neno la Bwana ambayo alipewa. Siku ya leo Bwana anasema, si uniwache nikusaidie uweze kuamini. Declare, help my unbelief. Sio mimi nimepungukiwa na mabiashara za kuinua. Sijapungukiwa na pesa. Sijapungukiwa na biashara. Ni wewe hujaamini. Oh, somebody declare this morning, oh, help my unbelief. sigariba dosia na maripa rika na maziria za ziga bazopa shini mandika na maziria. Nasikia kuna mtu ametumiwa, watumishi mbalimbali, kuambiwa ni wakati wa kuingia katika mahali pako pa kutumikia Mungu. Ingia kwa utumishi, ingia kwa utumishi. Lakini kwa sababu umepingwa siku mingi, Bwana anasema kwa sababu umepingwa siku mingi, hapo awali unakosa kuamini ya kwamba hata ukiwa unapingwa kwa kazi ya Bwana utaweza tu kupenya. Ni Bwana atakupenyesha. Siku ya leo anasema siwache nikusaidie na hiyo kutokuamini. Open up and say, help my unbelief, help my unbelief, help my unbelief, Jehovah, help my unbelief, help my unbelief. You are able to do it, you are able to do it, you are able to do it. Eresia makoparadia shalinta na mazipa. Siumwamini Bwana, siumwamini Bwana na hiyo biashara, siumwamini Bwana na hiyo ndoa, siumwamini Bwana na hiyo ndoa, siumwamini Bwana anaweza kurejesha. Siuamini Bwana, siuamini Bwana, siuamini. Ni kutokuamini, ni kutokuamini, ni kutokuamini. Sijapungukiwa na nguvu, sijapungukiwa na nguvu. Mimi sijapungukiwa na nguvu, asema Bwana. Sijapungukiwa na nguvu, ni kutokuamini. Nilifungua tumbo ya Sarai, alikuwa ameshapitisha miaka. Nilifungua tumbo ya Sarai, ni mimi nilifungua tumbo ya Sarai. Kwa nini huniamini? Sharabadosia makariba dasili amandika ezegeziga za mazipa azika na Maria abosoria. Ni kutokuamini, ni kutokuamini. Imesimama kinyume na mbele ya mimi kufanya maneno na kutimiza ahadi ambayo nimeahidi. Si ni kutokuamini, ni kutokuamini. Bwana si utusaidie, Bwana si utusaidie. Tumekuja mbele zako Bwana, tusaidie. Ni kutokuamini. It is unbelief, it is unbelief. We are like those Jews. We are like those Jews. We are like those Jews, Jehovah. We are like them, Jehovah. Walimuona Yesu amefufuka, walikaa na yeye siku 40, lakini hata hivyo, hata baada ya kuona hayo yote, bado hawakuamini. How faithless, faithless generation, faithless generation. How long am I to be with you? Nitafanya nini ndio muamini? Nitasema nini ndio muamini? Nitawatumia nani? Nitawatumia nani ndio muamini? Mtatumiwa nani? Mara ngapi tutasema, mara ngapi nitawaambia ndio muamini ya kwamba ninataka kufanya mambo makubwa, ninaweza fanya mambo makubwa. A faithless generation, a faithless generation. How long am I to repeat the same thing? How long? If you do not believe, it's a faithless generation. Oh God, we are that faithless generation. It is us. We are the faithless generation. Tunatubu kwa kutoamini. Tunatubu kwa kutoamini. I believe Jehovah. I believe. Fungua kinywa chako tu mwambie Bwana, ninaamini utafanya njia. Ninaamini utafanya njia. Ninaamini utafanya njia. Naamini Bwana. Naamini unaweza. Naamini utaponya. Naamini utajaza. Naamini utamponya huyu mwanangu. Naamini Bwana. Naamini Bwana umeniweka huru pamoja na familia. Naamini kitu kikubwa kinaweza chipuka hapa Faith Harvest Roysambu. Naamini miujiza itachipuka. Naamini miujiza. Naamini miujiza. Naamini miujiza. Naamini Bwana. Naamini Bwana. Naamini kuanzia leo. Naamini Bwana. I believe. Litaje hilo jina. Litaje hilo kitu ambacho umekosa kuamini. Litaje mbele za Bwana. Litaje, umwambie nimekuachia Bwana. Nimekuachia. Nimekuachia. I believe. Naamini utafanya njia. Naamini utafanya njia. Naamini. Hata giza lijae, hata giza litande. Oh, naamini Bwana. Oh, sharabadoza gabaradia. Yesu utafanya njia.
Yesu
Utalifanya Bwana, utalifanya.
atafanya njia.